All right, people, welcome back. This is Bob again, and as you can see, we're going to be talking about New Mutants, but specifically Rob Liefeld. Um, I know I've done a couple videos on Rob Liefeld, just like everybody else on YouTube. It's a big thing. It's a thing that people love him, people hate to love him, people love to hate him. Whatever way you want to look at it, it's what it is. I don't know exactly how I feel about it. I'm not really a person who likes him as a person. I'll say that much. Especially lately with the craziness that he does with his social media or whatever. Or if you've ever listened to his podcast, I'm sorry, but I have to be honest here. Like a bunch of it is just he's full of bullshit. But there was a time before I thought his artwork was horrible that I really liked his artwork. And what was odd about that is that my introduction to Rob Liefeld was X-Force #1. I had never read or had anything by Rob Liefeld before that. I bought it because I was jumping on a bandwagon here. My friends were getting that comic when I was getting everything else. And so I ended up buying it so I could, be a part of this or whatever. And that was his artwork in X-Force isn't the worst. The worst is anything probably like after 1997. His work just kept going downhill. His peak was probably 92, 93, and then it just went downhill, and now he is the worst that he's ever been. It's progressively getting worse. It's like, I don't know, he's regressing in his artistic talent. But when he first started, it was a different story. Now, I will say this. What's wild is that a lot of my favorite Rob Liefeld artwork is usually inked by another person and not by Rob Liefeld. So I know that a lot of Liefeld fans or whatever are like, they like the pure Rob Liefeld when he started inking himself. And again, I liked a lot of that when it came to X-Force and some early issues of Youngblood before the changes started coming into play. But when I started, it was wild because when I saw the earlier Liefeld, I was like in love with it. I'm just going to go ahead and get into this here, but like this is some Liefeld right here, and it's obviously inked by somebody else. Now I'm starting to wonder, because I've heard the stories, especially like when he started doing Hawk and Dove, that Carl Kessel would fix a lot of Rob Liefeld's artwork. Since he was the one inking the book. So it got to a point, from what I understand, that Rob Liefeld would stop drawing hands and feet because Carl Kessel would go in and draw them himself. So that's wild to me. I mean, that's kind of taking the hardest thing of the page or whatever and doing that, and then you're completely dependent on this other person to do the work. So that's wild to me, considering how much you get paid. And I don't really know how much a Marvel artist in the beginning or DC artist in the beginning are getting paid to do pages and stuff. I've heard so many different stories of page rates, but I think that explains a little bit of how his earlier work was much better in terms of anatomy and proportion and stuff. So like if we get into this here, like look at this, like everything here I'm in love with. All right, I'm in love with the colors, the artwork, everything. Now again, I've never seen the pencil pages of this, okay? The pencils could be different, but I have seen pencil pages of around the same time, and I have to be honest, the pencil pages look exactly like this. So he's drawing in this way, and the inker seems to be doing the same thing that he's doing here. Maybe, the inks are a little smoother here than what Liefeld would normally do. I feel his is a little rougher in some cases. But I mean, look at this. There's backgrounds, there's characters, everybody's like proportioned correctly. I love the whole style here. Look at there's storytelling. There's more than one character in a panel. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 panels on this page. I feel like that's not a thing that you get a lot from Rob Liefeld, especially again nowadays, right? Here's a 6-panel page. That's kind of blowing my mind, but I love every bit of this, right? Look at this guy's face. That is freaking awesome. Same thing here. The cape doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't matter because of how insanely cool it looks. when I would see this would blow my mind. I was like thoroughly invested in this. It's so different than everything you would get later on down the road. Um, you know, okay, so from what I understand, I think Warlock may have been a hard character for anyone to draw. I'm not sure about this. I'm gonna have to look into it, but I kind of feel like it was probably created by Bill Sienkiewicz because he was the artist on New Mutants for a while, and it looks like something that Bill Sienkiewicz would create. But again, he may be difficult to draw, so I think that's why Rob Liefeld ended up taking him out of the mix. But I do know that, apparently he was given carte blanche on what he wanted to do with the New Mutants in order to improve sales on the book. And I have to be honest, looking at this, the excitement here, the action, the figures and everything, right? I'm 100% invested. I would have been buying this book had I seen it. I just didn't see it at that time. Again, I didn't get into comics until Spider-Man number 317, and this was way before that, okay? But, I mean, look at this. We've got so much storytelling here. This form here is a little wonky, and I've seen Liefeld do that same form a couple of times. But again, it doesn't matter because this is still leaps and bounds better than anything he would produce today. And I just find that very weird. Here, maybe here he didn't know what he was doing, so he worked harder to accomplish certain goals in art that now he just doesn't do. And I mean, I also have to be honest here, he doesn't seem to have to work that hard. He can just draw the parts that he likes, fuck the parts that he doesn't like, and people will buy the book and not care. So that's it. So, I mean, there it is. Why do you have to work that hard if other people are like, fuck it, we don't care, we're just going to buy the book anyway? I do find it hilarious how Cannonball is carrying Feral here. Or is this Wolfsbane? I think it might be Wolfsbane. Just by the shoulders, and then maybe by the boobs over here, and then by the shoulders again. I don't think you can hold somebody like that, but whatever. It doesn't matter because it all is great. It reads, I know what's going on, and it's awesome. This is good artwork to me. Like, look at this. That's awesome, man. All of this, it's kind of wild. Like, his perspective and everything is so much better. And I remember the first time I had seen like some earlier sketches of Rob Liefeld artwork. And of course, like by this point, I think I had seen like Youngblood #1 or something like that. And I was just like, whoa, when did Liefeld draw like this? Because I'd have been all over this. I think the only other thing before X-Force that I had jumped on that was Liefeld was actually a picture that was inked by Todd McFarlane, and it was the cover to an X Factor. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this fucking picture's awesome. I loved everything about it. I loved the whole style and all that. And I know that, Todd McFarlane, the way that he inks, he adds his own style to it, which is something I think is like sorely lacking today in comic book art, is that you don't get that anymore. Usually an inker is retaining the penciler style. You don't get this like amalgamation of two artists producing something and you end up getting like this uniqueness or whatever. You don't see that anymore. But with Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld, you were seeing that, and it was pretty awesome. So I'm going to put that picture in the video so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. But look at all of this. This stuff is just amazing. I love this girl just sleeping in a bed underwater. That's kind of funny there. But I gotta be honest, I don't think I've even ever read this story. I got this book from a friend who gave me a bunch of long boxes that I'm still going through. And I'm finding a lot of comics that I used to love, or comics I had never read before. But when I saw this, I was just like, oh, hell yes. This is early Liefeld, and this is when I liked his stuff, This is just all this story going on here, all of this character. I don't know, I just dig it. I just think it's awesome. The action, it's still kind of the way that it was, that he kind of does now or whatever. He has his library of poses that he goes to, but that library has shrunk considerably over the years to where he only uses like 5 or 6 poses now, and he never, switches it up. It's all just kind of the same thing. I know I did a video on Archie Comics The Shield, where he literally drew one picture of the Shield, like kind of throwing a punch or with his arm up in the air, and then when you flip the page, you got a double page spread of that exact same picture. He drew it twice, and it's the exact same pose. So I just feel like that is a waste of a lot of real estate. But like this, oh man, I'm into it. I'm into all of it. I think the artwork is, look at this. That's awesome. That is awesome. That's probably one of the best females he had ever drawn. And again, I don't know if the linker, if the inker, not linker, if the inker's doing like a lot of the heavy lifting or not. But just everything here is so cool. Look at this dude, this underwater Wolverine elf dude or whatever, right? Again, guys, I didn't read this, so I don't know the characters or anything. I'll read it later. I just wanted to go through the artwork and just, I wanted to make a good video about Rob Liefeld, just so we know that I don't stick, on the bad stuff. The bad stuff is fun to talk about. The fact that, today he doesn't care. Back then, you could see the love. You could feel the love. This is the Rob Liefeld who loved comics, okay? Look at his pose. That's freaking awesome. All of this is freaking awesome. This is a great picture. He did a great job here, okay? Again, characters here, storytelling, perspective, all of it is pretty damn awesome. I don't feel like Liefeld's responsible for that face. I feel like the inker probably took care of that one. But that is definitely a Liefeld boom boom, okay? And it is. Just, and you know what's great here? This is like right up Liefeld's alley. This whole thing took place under the ocean. So he just had to draw water back for a background. Like, he did not have to do much. I feel like this allowed him to just cut loose on drawing some figures and some action and everything. And like, look at this story here. This person here flattens himself out and spins around Boom Boom. Richter gets knocked out. I believe that's Richter. And Warlock here is coming to save him and everything. Even holding Richter this way, that's perfect. That's believable. I buy it. It's wild. These characters, the faces, just everything about this. I had never seen these people before. I actually have probably about 60 New Mutants comics. I have a giant stack over here on this long box next to me. That I'm going through, but I literally stopped what I was doing when I went and looked through this and saw this artwork, and I was just like, do you know what I would do today if I could get, like, if Liefeld was producing this? I would be all over it. Any book he put out, I would be buying it. I wouldn't even guess. I wouldn't care if the story sucked, character sucked, whatever. I would be on it 100%. It's just unfortunate that is not what we get. We get, this same static, stiff pose over and over and over again of the same image over and over and over again. Every cover that comes out is that same pose with a bunch of floating heads in the background. There's not an ounce of originality or anything anymore. It's just a bit of a waste. But we're not getting that here. We're just getting this coolness. Superheroes are kind of looking like superheroes, flying around like superheroes. Look at this thing. We know, we've seen X-Force, and we've seen their hot dog ship or whatever, where, kind of just looks like a hot dog in a bun, or maybe that was McFarlane's version of it or whatever it was. But there's so little detail, and it does not look like a ship. It looks like a 5-year-old's understanding of what a ship would be or whatever. And but here, I buy it. It fits in with everything else. All of it is consistent here, right? Look at this. That's a hard pose to do, and he always pulled that off, in my opinion. And this character looks pretty badass. Right? And then, of course, we got all the team here on Warlock, who I guess is being a life raft. This pose is a little funny to me. I think it's reminiscent of what they just had on the cover here of Richter. No, it wasn't that one. It was this. So maybe they took that. Maybe that's the same picture there. No. Or maybe, I don't know. There's Cannonball 2 is right there. So maybe they just took that portion to put up front there as a preview, which would be pretty wild. But look at this. Just, again, I'm actually fanboying here. Like, this is the stuff I would get into. And it's great. And it's, like, I liked Tom McFarlane stuff when he first started drawing, but you could see the difference. You could see the improvements almost month to month or comic to comic, issue to issue, that he was getting better and better and better and better and better, right? Then he reached this point where there was a peak, and then the artwork slipped off a little bit, but not much. but it slipped off just basically because he had a lot on his plate. He was running some organizations, Toy Company, and his own branch of Image Comics and everything, putting out these books. He had a lot going on. With this, with Liefeld, again, you start off like this. I think this artwork is great. It built up into a different style, and that was fine. I still prefer this over that. Like when I say that, I'm talking about like X-Force. Again, for me, I think the peak of his artwork was actually Youngblood #2. I still feel, every time I look at that book, I feel like that is the best Liefeld we're going to get. And I believe there was like a 3 or 4 month period that he took to draw that book because it was, months late. But all that extra time, you could see it. Like there was great stuff in there. I even really, really liked Brian Murray's coloring on Youngblood #2. It all just fit together. I thought it was perfect. And then there was a drastic change with Youngblood #3 when you have Danny Miki coming in and inking Liefeld. He gave up the inking duties and gave it to somebody else because he felt it made his artwork look better. And to an extent, it kind of did, but his artwork also went through a drastic change, okay? Almost like it wasn't even Liefeld anymore. But, same thing here. Like, there's a drastic change from what you have here and what you have with X-Force, right? Look at that. All of that's just awesome. Yeah, I'm in love with all of this. I still feel like that is not a Liefeld face, because like that mouth is not Liefeld. So I think like the anchor is doing something there. And I know I've heard like Eric Larson talk about how, Marvel would have anchors change certain things of a drawing. The editor would have that happen, or bring in a different penciler to draw it because they didn't like what was there. And there's a good chance that that happened with a little bit of this stuff. I would have never noticed or knew those type of things as a kid. It wasn't until much later when we had access to all of these comic book greats and everything through social media that we start finding out all of this information that we like never knew about or whatever. The detail on these tentacles and everything, it's awesome. Okay, again, not something that we would see today. This whole group shot here, awesome. Just, I don't know, just amazing, man. He's fitting entire characters in a panel, even in a panel that's like this, short. It's a difficult thing to do, and he achieved it with several characters. And I just feel like today he can't do it. Like, again, it's a weird thing when I started drawing. If you start with the head and you keep drawing, like it gets bigger and bigger as you go because you didn't plan the whole thing out, and you kind of lose track of it. And you can see that today. It tends to go that way with his artwork. But, here you can see that like he would sketch it out or something. He would set this stuff up, and it's pretty damn good. I kind of wish it just stuck this way, and he just stuck with these artists or these inkers and everything, right? I would have, I don't know how the artwork changed so drastically. Like, look at this chin and stuff. Like, what were his references then, and how did they differ later on when doing X-Force, right? How did the anatomy change so drastically on these other characters and such, where things just didn't line up the way that they should. Look at all the massive amount of characters here, all doing something, all great natural looking poses, even though, come on, that's freaking awesome. That's a great one. This 80s or 90s hair here is just, it's cracking me up. I love it. I really feel like, I've said it before, I think, like, I never looked at Liefeld as being a person who could draw women. You don't look at a Liefeld woman and say, oh, she's hot or something like that, right? I've seen other YouTubers talk about image comic artists and stuff like that, right? Jim Lee's very good with it. I think the favorite amongst everyone is Mark Silvestri. He knows how to draw a woman. He knows how to draw women in like as a supermodel or something like that. Let me put it that way, right? Because we all come in a lot of different shapes and sizes and such. But people seem to favor the way that Mark Silvestri portrays a woman. But the way that Liefeld does it, if you look at any of his current art, where he doesn't know where to put the hips, or they kind of don't really have hips, or the thighs are super long. things just don't line up the way they're supposed to. The arms are too short. All of that can be seen with the video I did on the Shield, where the new Shield character, who is female, is standing there, and you can see that none of it works. But if you look here, it's like, okay, he seems to know what he's doing. This worked out just fine. I love it. Okay, and then we got some character sketches here. Come on, man, look at this. Look at this. This person is holding a sword, and we know that he couldn't do that today, or wouldn't even care about trying to put the sword in that person's hand, right? This says Liefeld. Did he ink this? Because I feel like he inked this. All of this. The poses, the faces, everything here, I'm 100% a fan of. This is awesome. Yeah, same thing over here. I'm in love with this picture here too, and I believe, yeah, Liefeld inked that also. Yeah, that's great. Look at this stuff. And then we're getting into a different thing here with John Bogdanovi. I don't know. I think that's a cute looking boom boom or whatever. But I'm going to stop the video right there because this was just about, you know, older Liefeld art, and that's what I wanted to talk about. So there it was. Now I have some more of the New Mutant stuff with Liefeld's artwork, and I don't see a lot of that in YouTube's. So I'm going to do that here. I'll go through whatever ones I have with his artwork and talk about that. But this was, I didn't even read the story, but I can look through this a ton and get something out of the artwork alone that I really enjoy. So guys, my name is Bob. I am a comic book artist, and I'm trying to get my name out there. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit like, because that will help my channel grow. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, go ahead and hit subscribe, so that way you'll be alerted when I bring out a new video, which is daily. I'm bringing out a new video every day about some comic that I have, and I have a ton. So this will be going on for a while. My comic Ghost Girl should be coming out within a month or two. I'm currently drawing it. So if you subscribe, you'll get any new information pertaining to that as well. All right, guys, so thanks for watching, and until next time.